step by step how to launch this car. So put your foot on the brake, is pretty tough, and apply full throttle as well. You kind of feel that's going. Let's go. That was a little much.
Juice WRLD once said all girls are the same, and I used to think the same thing about Dodge Chargers, but all Chargers are not the same. So, you know, looking at the base model Charger, they look super lame. I mean, like, you know, like they just look like mom and pop car, drive the kids to church, whatever, underpowered, little V6 in there. You know, you hop a little bit up the ladder, you get a little V8, and then you get to, what, this 392 Scat Pack. Okay, now we're talking. You got a V8, it's got a little horsepower, and then you go all the way up. You go all the way up to the Hellcat, and then you get to the Hellcat, you know, the Red Eye, then the Demon or whatever. And, you know, those things are monsters. But, you know, I used to think all Scat Packs, Chargers, Hellcats, whatever, same thing, just a little more power. But I mean, looking at this thing, this thing is aggressive. This one, you know, as Harrison so informed me, it is the 392 Hemi Scat Pack Widebody. And just looking at the thing from the front, sorry, I'm kind of running away from the camera right now, but looking at the thing from the front, super aggressive. And, you know, and being behind the, you know, being in the passenger seat of this thing for, you know, 20 minutes, I don't know. This thing makes 485, 500 horsepower. I cannot imagine driving anything more powerful than this. I don't see why you would need to own a Hellcat with 700 horsepower when, you know, you punch the gas and you throw your car off into the woods and you got to get a new one and your insurance rates go up. But, I mean, come on, this thing's pretty cool. You jump inside, you have these awesome side bolstered suede seats, the little Burnout Bumblebee, whatever logo that is. You have these little paddle shifters. I mean, it's aggressive. You got sport modes, track mode, all this crazy stuff. And this is just a first impression. This is just, you know, me looking at the car, me seeing this car for the short period of time, getting it to this location to film about it. And I'm gonna pass it over to Harrison to have him tell me all of the hundreds of thousands of things that I missed that are super cool about it. So,
as Owen said, you know, everyone thinks that they got their own special Charger. Meaning, people who have a Scat Pack, who buy a Scat Pack, lease a Scat Pack, however you get one, they always think that they have a one-of-one car. And I thought the same too, thinking I never have seen a wide body actually in Toledo where I live, until I bought the car, and driving it home, I stopped at a red light and one pulled up right next to me. Never seen one in Toledo until that day. So anyways, it's always how it is. Then I thought I had the only white Scat Pack with black racing stripes that was a wide body. And as you see, that was not the case. When I went to a car meet, found the exact same one. And guy's really nice, good dude, but I ain't the only one. So anyways, nonetheless, I've had this car for about 3 months now, and it has been an absolute blast. Really, for the rap Scats get, good, bad, or anything in between, I think there is no better daily driver, no better track car, no better car that's just overall fun. That's 4 doors, really. Unless if you go German, spend 160 grand that you probably don't have, and things just go south from there. So nonetheless, it's a lot easier to maintain than a German. In 3 months of ownership, some tips that I have personally. One thing I learned over here on this car, the fender flares stick out, obviously. I think it's about 6 inches wider than a conventional Scat, and which is incredible to fit 305 tires in all 4 quarters. But what the issue is, these are just the normal Pirelli all seasons. I didn't get the 3-season tires. They're Pirelli, I think they're P0 Neros or something of the sort, but they're decently sticky for an all-season tire, which means it kicks up a lot of stuff, and that's the result of pretty badly chipped up rear fender flares on both sides. I have paint protection up to here, but from here to here in about 3-4 inches, it's gotten eaten up pretty well. So to fight that, I put these front guards on each side in the front to at least eliminate some more rock chips in the future, which have really helped. Mine came with the car, but I know you can get different styles, different ones online, third party, aftermarket, the whole nine. Which leads me on to my next thing is the tires. These are 305 tires. To replace one of these tires, the cheapest I found was about $275 per tire. So about $1,000 in tires at least, plus installation, balance, rotation, everything in between. Rotate them. At every oil change, every 5,000 miles roughly, get an oil change, rotate them, pay the extra $16 to rotate them. Prolong the life, because, you know, the ones in the rear see plenty of abuse. Moving on to the next thing. The only things I've done in terms of modifications is I did a ceramic coat myself, which turned out decently for a first time. Took about 5 hours of labor and stuff. It's hard to see on camera. I'll show it to you when we go inside. I put this black bar, which I thought kind of looked a bit ratchet. This black bar of tint. I wish I kind of made it a bit longer, but I thought it'd be kind of corny, but it really helps keep sun out of your eyes. That's just a normal conventional, I think the first time I've seen it was like Grand Theft Auto 5. They had cars with that stuff in there, but nonetheless, 15% tint on the sides, 30% tint in the rear. The rear glass here, it's kind of in the book of 392 ownership. It's kind of sacrilegious to drive one of these that's not tinted. So first thing you do is you take care of that and move on. But this spoiler here is aftermarket. These wide bodies do come with one. I just got a bigger one, something more wider, and I thought it looked a little bit better. It's got some thread holes to put a plastic panel on here for even more downforce that I think looks incredibly corny, so I keep that sucker off. Put a diffuser on, really basic stuff. I'll show you here in the front, the motor, kind of up close. It has this normal conventional 6.4 Hemi. Does about 485. I have a JLT cold air intake here that apparently adds about 15 horsepower. I don't have it tuned, so I don't know if it does actually add 15, but give or take about 500 horsepower. It's just much easier to tell people. This car here has about 10,000 miles on it so far. I've put about 5,000 miles on doing a rally, daily driving, spirited driving, car meets, the whole nine. So put plenty of miles on it, and if you get one, I'd highly suggest putting adaptive cruise, lane keep assisted technology package, just because one, it makes your insurance rates a lot cheaper, but two, on the highway, makes this thing absolutely nice. You can put it in comfort mode, put all that sucker on, and it basically drives itself. So it's very, very effortless to drive and to daily drive too. I'll show you here in a bit. It's got a ton of modes that you can use for different things, and we'll probably hop in right now and take a look at it. So as you see, the interior here is incredibly spacious. I'm 6'2", have plenty of leg room in the front and back seats. This is just one of the cars that are not only incredibly fun, but incredibly useful. A Camaro, I don't know if you guys have ever been in one, but it just has no visibility, very low roof liner. I mean, unless if you're like 3'5", you're not gonna have a good time. So these cars are very big. You know, people call them boats, they call them whales, but you know, the people who call them that are still walking, so I could care less what they say. With a wide body with a completely different suspension than a narrow body, makes it an absolute dream to drive. It handles incredibly well. More on the firm side, even in comfort mode, than a conventional Scat Pack, but I don't mind it personally. And, you know, it has incredible handling. So we're just gonna put it on. We're not gonna start it yet, but I just wanted to show you some of the stuff in the infotainment here that's kind of unique to just Scat Packs in general. We're gonna take a look real quick. We're gonna go to dashboard, and just there's a line lock feature that will allow you to do burnouts. Activate that. You can kind of fluctuate what RPM you want to set the set the line lock at to, you know, just stay at. Performance pages is a very common thing. It's been around for a few years. In 21, they did update the interface a bit. Apparently made it a little bit faster, but it's still slower than dirt. When it loads, I'll show it to you guys. But in the meantime, this is the adaptive cruise here. These are the buttons for it here. It's kind of how you know that, you know, if you're looking at a couple of these, if you see these buttons blank, that means, you know, it's pretty much a base wide body. And on top of not having nav or a sunroof or these suede seats, which are absolutely awesome. Personally, it's much better opting out for them. You know, it's a couple more $1,000s, which is true, but if you're already spending 50, what's 53, 54,000 gonna do to you? This one here has 10,000 miles roughly on it. It's done about 3 oil changes so far, and I'd say the best thing out of the whole car in terms of interior is the center rest here, all the touch points. This is incredibly comfortable to, you know, keep your arm here. This here is incredibly soft, if you guys can see. I had a Civic before, which was all plastic, and it just tore up your elbows on long drives. So here the SRT performance pages are kind of loaded up. There's a dyno, which obviously the car's not running, so it's all zeroed out. We have a nice, cool G-force meter, which is awesome. It's live G readings, so if you're on the track or something and have this running, you can see like the live calculations. You can see this dot, you know, go whichever way that the force is giving in, and you got a nice steering angle here. Just has some ancillary gauges here. I believe you can add more too. Timers, which is nice if you're doing, you know, line drags or anything in between. Engine, you obviously can't see anything right now, but it's got you know, you can do live, all of these are live. You can do live oil readings, you can do live horsepower, live torque, all the fun stuff there. So, and it just has more here. It's really customizable and nice, but it really suits almost every performance situation you guys can do. Here, so we're gonna hop in real quick, take this thing for a ride, and Owen's gonna drive it as a first time driving a Scat, and I'll show you some fun stuff here and there, and we'll go from there. It's right now in comfort and eco mode. As you guys can, I don't know if you can see, but it's got that little green leaf, which calls for eco mode here. It's this eco here, and it's incredible. The car is incredibly calm and smooth and comfortable in a mode like this. You know, driving, it just makes it very peaceful, very livable, you know, everyday driving and stuff like that. But if you ever want to have fun, that can be modified very easy with the tap of a button. If you want to go sport, I always take my foot off the accelerator because the transmission kind of shifts in terms of behavior, so I don't want to put any pressure on it during that change. But once it's in sport, it's an absolute devil. I mean, you put the gas down, it's a whole different beast. It's very, very, very simple. So I mean, put it the beast, and it corners exceptionally. It's got electronic dampeners as a wide body, so you can tell the suspension behavior is very different, very firm. Steering's very firm, as it's electric, and just kind of going through some quarters here, it's incredible. Nothing short of incredible, and it sounds so good. It does have a valved exhaust, so in sport the valve's open, and it's much more aggressive as well. And the throttle's just a lot more. You can kind of feel it, just very responsive. Scats are just known for responsive throttles, but in sport, it's almost feels like it's carved. It's just instant response. So very cool. Just even over I always look out. You know, used to driving low cars, you always gotta look out for potholes, but you can feel it's much more stiffer in terms of suspension on the street with it in sport. Track is an absolute devil. I'd stay away from it. It's very, very, very alive, I'll say that. But the one thing that's interesting is none of these controls, none of these modes, these SRT modes, fully turn off traction control. It says it's off on the dash here, but in reality, it's just a different version. of it. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna stop here. We're gonna put it in launch mode, which is awesome. You got to stop completely, and it tells you step by step how to launch this car. So put your foot on the brake. Is pretty tough, and apply full throttle as well. You kind of feel that stuff. Let's go.
That was a little much. All right, we're live. Okay, so first time behind the wheel of the Scat Pack. I'm not taking this thing out of daily driver mode or whatever it's called, because this thing scares me a little bit. But this thing is smooth. It is nice. It is friendly, actually. I'm sure that story changes once you get into go fast mode. But you could feel those downshifts too. But yeah, I mean, just like a nice little like half throttle pull. It's fast. It's pretty quick. One thing I really appreciate about this car, something I think is a nice touch, that big bump right there, is really this big pronounced hood. Like, you just see it out the windshield and it looks super aggressive. It's just a nice touch. It's a nice like little thing that reminds you that you're driving a Scat Pack. In addition to the 392 badge on the passenger side dash. A Mercedes AMG, they're doing away with the V8s. Ford is going that direction with the Mustang and like the pickup trucks as like the exception, but they're going in the electric direction. You have this like Mustang, Mach-E. They're doing away with the muscle cars, the really fun, obnoxious cars that can get you into trouble. And I think what Dodge is doing with this car is kind of like a last hurrah. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you agree with this, Harrison, but it's like we're only gonna be able to make these crazy, obnoxious V8 sedans for so many more years. There's gonna be a point where it's all, hybrid or electric. Really not, in my opinion, fun driver's cars. Harrison might disagree with me there. I know he likes his Teslas a little bit, but yeah, I think this is something that Dodge is just like, okay, we're gonna put it all out there. We're gonna make some really special cars for a few more years. You see Porsche doing the same thing with their GT2, GT3, whatever, and then these are gonna be future classics, I think.